Welcome to Sipping Reality with Jill and
Meaghan.
So today we were thinking about parenting.
Yeah, I was thinking about that before going to bed because I lost my shit last night on my children.
And then she was an absolutely amazing, wonderful mother this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was.
Despite getting so triggered,
I was super triggered.
You were able to put that all aside and stop and be present with your daughter and care for her.
Yeah.
In the most amazing way.
Yeah, it was pretty beautiful this morning. I knew what she needed. Yeah, it was hard to do, to step out of myself in that moment because I wanted to be like angry at her.
So parenting is really freaking hard.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I can understand why raising a puppy is really hard because I've had puppies and they are really tough to deal with. They eat everything. You have to take them outside to go potty all through the night, all day long.
They've got to run or they're going to be crazy in the house.
Yes, you have to exercise them. You have to do a lot. But when you're talking about a child and you're trying as a traumatized person to not traumatize your children, when children trigger you in every way possible towards your trauma, and you're trying to care for their emotional growth and well-being, their physical growth and well-being, their spiritual growth and well-being, like care for their body, mind, and spirit. I mean, it's...
When you've gone like your whole life without having that for yourself. From anyone.
Yeah, I know that animals are really you love them to death. And they mean the world to you, but it's just raising a child is like whole next level.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's a lot of similarities
to
puppies and little children. But...
I do not discount that.
How did we get on that discussion?
Of what, puppies?
Yeah, puppies and children.
Because wasn't it just like yesterday where somebody said, the other day somebody just said something? No, it wasn't.
No, we were talking about something. Yeah.
And
I said the kids. I said that it's like they're on school vacation, and I said they're cuckoo tonight, and it's like a puppy that didn't get its running out.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's true. They literally are cuckoo because they were stuck in the house all day, and it just snowed, but it's not like it was like a ice storm, so it's not like they could really go play in it. It was freezing, and it was the wind was crazy.
So, yeah, you can't make snowballs with the snow. There's no like making snowmen.
No, it's just ice, and so they were stuck inside. You know, yeah, they were like little puppies at the end of the night that didn't get their runs out. Like they were just cuckoo.
No, you call them zoomies.
Zoomies. Yep. Yeah, and that was what they were doing, and they're like puppies. Mm-hmm.
And we do. I just hear it so often. Oh, I don't have kids, but I have a dog. And I've had dogs. I've had puppies. They're so much
But you're
work.
raising
They're so hard.
A human who has to be a functioning part of society and like a good person.
Yeah, there's like, it's next level. It really is.
Yeah, they are going to go off into the world and either add or take away from it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's different. And they
need you on a emotional level and mentally stimulating, teaching them things. Like, that's, I don't know.
Well, and like
it's a really hard job because, okay, so to be fair to puppy owners, I don't want a puppy. I could not have a puppy right now.
No.
I mean, I also have
Maybe
5
when
children.
I'm single,
so
when I'm
yes,
older.
If I didn't have any children, I could probably handle a puppy. But I could not handle a puppy because they are so difficult.
Yeah.
They're so hard.
Well, I had one, a year ago or no, that was 2.5 years.
It was a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was 2.5 years ago now.
Yes.
And I realized the amount of time that puppy was going to need to get proper training and my alone time. And I'm like, I'm already dividing my time between 5 children that are prying for my time. They're they all want alone time with me. This one wants me to hold them, and this one wants me to hold them at the same time, and that one gets jealous. It's like I'm already trying to train human beings to be good people and not be completely fucked up.
Yeah, puppies are hard.
Yeah.
But I think that's just to say how challenging parenting is. It's not to take away from how challenging raising a puppy and a dog is,
No, it is.
and how much you love them. But it's just to even highlight even more how challenging it is to be a parent.
Yeah.
And I think in today's world, we might have mentioned this before when we've touched on parenting, but in today's world, you have to have the birthday parties. You have to participate in sports, the expensive sports. Like even soccer's not a cheap sport anymore, because if you're in a D1 town, your child's not going to play on varsity soccer if they're not also playing club growing up. They're not going to make the team. Yeah. They're never going to do anything with it. And do I want my child in high school to give up on sports and to not have that social aspect and the health of it? And I don't know. I just think that if you have a child that's really into sports, even if they don't do it in college, even if there's no chance they're ever going to go pro or do anything with it, there's something so healthy and good about participating in some kind of extracurricular participation and the particular teamwork of sports and physical activity that children gain when they play a sport seriously and have practice 5 days a week plus games. They stay healthy in a way that's really hard to do in today's world.
Yeah, without that, children are super sedentary. I mean, I guess I could talk about what happened last night. I was really triggered by a situation with my ex-husband and my oldest. Had spent a couple hours talking to my son's therapist, and when I went downstairs, I noticed that a half a bottle of expensive honey was filled with water, and it was like dumped out all over the counter, and I just lost it. I broke some things. To
be really honest, I broke some things.
I punched a door. I threw a plastic bucket. I was just so angry. And
it seems crazy. It seems like crazy behavior, but when you were just being
It wasn't just
abused,
about the honey, though.
But it wasn't about the honey at all.
No.
It was, I mean, it was like slightly, but it wasn't really. It was just that's all you needed at that point to lose it. Because you had held it so in control in the midst of something that was so emotional, so traumatizing, so triggering to past trauma.
Yeah.
All of it. And then the gosh darn freaking expensive honey after you had just lost a whole huge bottle of honey the week before.
Yep.
No, 2 weeks before, and you had gone a whole week without honey.
Yeah. Well, I lost a whole bottle of dish soap and a whole bottle of honey.
Oh, 2 weeks before. Went without honey. Finally brought honey back to her house.
Almost $40 just right there. Yeah. And then I just brought that new bottle.
But it's not even like the money. It's about the fact that you wake up in the morning, you don't have honey for your tea.
Well,
or your coffee. It's like,
I had glanced. And I think it really triggered me because I had glanced at that bottle of honey and I was like, okay, great. I have enough honey for my coffee in the morning.
Right?
And then when I went down there and it was gone, I was just, I think on a deeper level, it triggered this nobody cares about me and I don't have what I need. And
sometimes as moms or dads, really active dads or single dads, they could understand what we're saying too. But as moms, we give everything to everybody else, and sometimes the only comfort we have in the world is a hot shower or a cup of tea, a hot cup of coffee or a hot cup of tea, and that is our only comfort in the whole world.
Yeah, in the midst of literally sacrificing yourself every single day.
Yes, and after a hard day of just going and going and going for your children and then being shit on by the partner that's supposed to be helping you instead of supporting you and helping you, just having them make it 10 times harder for you to do what you're already doing that's hard, and then you can't even wake up and have your gosh darn cup of freaking tea with your honey.
Yeah.
It is. It's the thing that's going to send you right over the edge. It would send me over the edge.
Because yes, on the deeper emotional level, it wasn't about the honey. It was about I wasn't cared for the way I was supposed to be growing up.
Your whole life.
My whole entire life. Ever. And I'm still in this place where I'm caring and caring and caring and giving myself away, every part of me away. And I have this one little thing and it was taken.
Well, that's why parenting can be so triggering if you didn't have a stable home life growing up, because it's like that need never goes away if it's not fulfilled.
Right.
We can gain health around it.
Yep.
We can gain healing around it, but we still always have that need to be cared for in a way that we weren't.
I mean, have I had that happen when I'm not triggered like that? Absolutely. And I think it was just like a combination of things last night, and then after that happened, after I lost it, I like absolutely dissociated. She's yawning and laughing.
I just had a really big yawn.
That was
Meaghan's talking all serious, and I'm like, my eyes are closed and my mouth's like open really wide, and I just don't stop yawning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to stop.
Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't catch your yawn, but yeah, no, after that happened, I was like super dissociated. I was not there. Like, I put the kids to bed because it was late, and I just like laid on the floor, put them in their bed and shut the light off, and they were like coming over and hugging me, and I was just like staring, like I was like in the fetal position on this pillow on the floor, and I couldn't even come back to myself in that moment. Like,
well, you have nothing left to care for anyone else after being so not cared for. And it's not just like, oh, I'm going, but everybody around me is actually working against me, so everything I'm doing is actually harder than it even needs to be.
Yeah, it's like I'm on a hamster wheel. Yeah.
That's parenting. Parenting is like, you're already doing really hard stuff. You're managing their schoolwork, you're managing their social skills, you're managing their sports, you're managing that they're fed and clothed and all of these things. And then on top of it, they're seemingly doing everything to make it harder on you. You're trying to keep a decent home for them, and they're just making mess after mess after mess. You're trying to help them with something, and they're screaming or getting in front of you. They're begging for snacks.
You're
and then
trying to save money
right
for something that they really want, or they've been saying they want, but then they dump out $40 worth of products.
Yes, like things like that,
right?
Where your whole life is for them, and
or
you're
they
putting everything.
Take scissors
towards
to
them.
my sheets and my mattress protector.
Well, your kids are a little over
I don't.
the top. I don't think all kids take scissors.
I've heard that.
To
And I think it might be true. I don't know why my kids are so destructive, but
well, I have a clue. But.
I mean, yeah, I think I know why too. It is like literally shoveling shit against the tide.
Yeah.
And it makes me crazy. It makes me feel like I'm crazy.
Well, who wouldn't feel crazy shoveling shit against the tide?
Right.
I mean, just standing there and just keep getting shit splashed on you over and over again as you're working your butt off.
To get it
really
away.
Hard.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to stop until it's done.
And if I do stop, then my kids aren't cared for.
Well, that's my point.
Or
you
I
can't
abandon
stop.
or I
you
abandon
can't
them.
Stop. You have to keep
right.
going.
Yeah.
And you just keep working so hard, and you're exhausted mentally and emotionally and physically. And
well, that's the thing. I don't get to sleep.
Shit sprayed on you.
I don't get to sleep either. That's the really tough part about being a parent.
Full sleep.
You have really broken sleep, not enough hours, and then you have to manage your emotions the next day, right. And somebody else's. Well, multiple people.
And then people look at you and are like, "Well, why'd you have 5 children?" And you just want, oh my goodness.
I'm like, does
that even make me want to?
I mean, it's a great question, but like it already happens. So
I shouldn't have done it, but I have these 5 kids and I love them.
Yeah.
And I care for them, and I'm gonna do the best for them despite how hard it is.
So when I woke up this morning, my 5-year-old woke up and came down the stairs, and I was making her lunch for today, and she just was like, "That's not what I wanted," and she threw it all out of her bag, and she broke open the Cheez-It bag, and they went everywhere. I asked her to pick them up. She said no. She's like, "I wanted this. You said I'm gonna tell Dad that you blah blah blah," and I'm like, wow, okay. And I just got quiet. I just let her like be upset with me, and I told her I didn't like the way she was talking to me, and I'm like, this little girl is really hurt right now from me last night. I need to pick her up. I just picked her up, and I told her that I was sorry that I scared her last night, and I that I was angry and scared, and I feel alone, and I was sorry that I took it out on them. And I told her that I just cried. I said, it's really hard to be a mom, and I just want you to know that I love you, that I sometimes say that I hate my life out loud, but I don't hate you. I love you. I told her, I really care about what you want in your lunch bag today, but I don't have it, and I'll get it for you for tomorrow, but I'm going to use what I have. And she just calmed right down and just like held me and looked at my face. And when I put her down on the floor, she started picking up the Cheez-Its without even me saying anything. And I was like, wow, that was like
exactly what she needed.
You know, and I could have lost it again because she was just being a jerk, but it was because of me. She was hurt. And
well, I think it's a really good example too of how important it is to allow our children to see our emotions sometimes. I know we're very often told that we need to be these perfect creatures in front of our children.
Like, I'm a bad parent because I did what I did last night and I lost it.
Yeah, I don't think that we need to. I think that when we always just go and shut the bathroom door and cry in the bathtub, our kids are missing that emotional connection to us and understanding that we're human and they're human, and they can find some safety in their own emotions and frustrations and anger by recognizing that their parents have too.
I think that's what happened with her this morning. I validated why she was so angry with me this morning.
And she saw it was okay to be angry, but it's not okay. But she also saw you say it's not okay how I reacted to my anger, and I love you and I'm sorry, and it's just such a good example for them, I think.
And I told her I was really happy that I had her. I think that sometimes I do want to just like leave my family. I want to leave my kids because I feel so overwhelmed, and I know that my kids feel that. They like, my mom doesn't want me. Yeah, I mean, that just changed her whole everything this morning to hear me say that to her.
Well, I should tell all three of your little ones how much you wanted them, because you tried so hard for all three of them.
I did.
You did. You wanted them so desperately.
And I had such lovely labors for them too. I did. I was happy to have them.
They're just always more than we anticipate. I mean, okay, I can relate that to a puppy. You see a puppy and it's so darn cute and you just want that little puppy in your house. And you've had puppies before and you even know how hard those puppies are to take care of, but there's something about how darn stinking cute they are that makes you forget or not care in the moment. It's okay, I can push through, I can do it. And then you get that gosh darn puppy in your house and you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're not sleeping and they're whimpering and they're barking at everything and there's pee and poop all over your house. Everything's chewed up and you're screaming and losing it. And you're like, why the heck did I ever get this darn puppy? And it doesn't matter how cute that puppy is. You're like, this was the stupidest thing I've ever done in my whole life. And then the puppy will do something cute and you'll just be like, oh my gosh, the puppy's so cute, like all over again.
That's exactly how
I can relate. I can relate having kids to kind of being like that. Like, you have these moments with them and you're just like, oh, would never ever ever change your life to not have them. But that doesn't take away from the challenge of having children.
And it's hard not to be so hard on myself for acting like a 2-year-old, throwing a tantrum last night, which clearly comes from a part of me that is triggered. I feel like there's something that my daughter learned from me this morning that was really important. And
well, it also gave you guys that moment together that otherwise she wouldn't have had. She would not have been validated that you want her. You would have not felt drawn to say that to her if the situation hadn't occurred. And she would have just continued to feel this separation of my mom doesn't really want me. And unfortunately, that had to play out the way it did for you to recognize that she needed you to tell her, I sometimes hate my life, but I don't hate you. Yes. I love you. Yes. And she needed to hear that desperately.
And how hard it is. And you wouldn't have known that
she needed to hear that if it hadn't all played out. And I'm not saying it's good that all of that occurred, but it is good that you stopped and were able to have that moment with her.
Well, you see, I had a point earlier but I had forgotten it. Now I remember. The adults in my life, when I, growing up, did these things to me. My mom got very angry with me and would lose it and then stop talking to me, and we wouldn't talk about it. So I feel some relief because I know that all of us as adults are struggling from trying to figure our shit out as an adult and trying to raise a child at the same time.
Well, that's why we're talking about this, because we know that you can all relate on some level to the struggles of adulthood and childhood trauma and parenting.
I think everybody can relate to it. But it's like the adults in my life didn't validate my feelings. They actually gaslit me and said, well, I'm an adult. I'm allowed to do this.
To treat you however I want. And if you're going to be upset with me, I'm not going to speak to you. Yeah. Which, not speaking to somebody is very abusive and causes a lot of unnecessary stress.
And it wouldn't have been the behavior of my mom getting angry at me that would have caused trauma to me. If she came to me afterwards and had a discussion like I did with my daughter this morning. I love you. I reacted poorly. This is how I should have reacted. It's not your fault. Just being a mom is hard, and I just took it out on you guys and did the wrong thing. I love you. If I had heard that, even though my mom reacted poorly, it would have changed my whole perspective, And I thought about this morning, like, imagine with my daughter if this morning I got more angry with her for acting like a jerk, and how that would have compounded.
And then imagine if you stopped talking to her for days.
Yeah.
Or a week and just treated
her like she was a terrible person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about that this morning afterwards, like how that abuse would have started compounding on itself with her. If I got angry at her this morning for being angry at me for being wrong last night and scaring her and making her feel unsafe. And she came to me and said, I brushed my teeth. Look at my teeth. I said, I don't give a crap about your teeth. I said that to her last night because I was in the midst of losing it. It wasn't just about the honey, but I was losing it. And she was so heartbroken that I said that to her.
Yeah, she was desperately trying to get your approval and attention by saying that.
Yeah.
And then you rejected it.
Yep. Yeah. And if I had been angry at her this morning for being angry at me, it just would have started compounding.
And I think as parents sometimes, and I've even watched myself do it, we expect the children to be more emotionally mature than we are. As if the 5-year-old is going to come to me and say, Mommy, I'm angry with you.
Right.
Like, no, the 5-year-old's not going to do that. I need to stop and say, wow, I acted angry with you, but I'm not, and I was wrong, and I love you.
And this child.
And you were wrong for doing this and this, but...
Yeah.
I understand why you were angry or whatever, however the conversation goes. But I see it a lot. I hate to admit it, but in myself, where I'm like, wow, I've stopped before in the midst of something and been like, wow, I'm expecting my children to be more emotionally mature than I'm being in this moment.
And most adults that I've ever met.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
right.
I don't even know a lot of emotionally mature adults.
No.
Never mind expecting my children to have, to have that level of maturity. I mean, it's sobering. It really sobers you up when you're in the midst of that too. I'm like, wow.
When it hits you. Like, wow.
I'm like, how ridiculous for me to expect my 5-year-old to be this morning, instead of acting like a jerk, be like, hey, you know what, Mommy? I was really hurt by you last night.
Right.
And now I'm angry.
Yes.
She's not going to be able to express.
No, she's going to act angry and she's going to act out of control.
In other ways.
Yes.
She's mad at me about her lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you flipped out over a honey because you had a very traumatizing day.
Triggered about other things. And it wasn't about the honey. It was about the
But
other things.
the 5-year-old's supposed to come to you and be
do
like,
something
Mommy,
different.
I'm angry.
Yeah.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
But we do that, don't we, sometimes?
Yes, it's heart-wrenching.
So I think the point of just talking about all this is, of course, one of the topics we want to touch on is parenting. It's just about saying, like, hey, we all get triggered. We all screw up sometimes.
Well, the raw nature of being in this
life.
In this
being
life,
in a human body,
trying to raise a child as a person who's fucked up. We're all fucked up. Not
I. I always say that. I have no issues.
Yeah, right.
Not me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like I really want to continue to talk about this in the future. And I have no problem. I mean, it's embarrassing to admit that I threw a temper tantrum last night in front of my kids. I don't want to admit that, but I'm not the only parent that does that. And I'm well aware of that. Like, you might hide it from people,
That's the one thing I like about, like, Facebook shorts and reels and all those things is a lot of parents are putting their stuff out there now.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, wow, it's not just me.
It feels good.
It does.
It feels good to
like,
watch because I'm like, wow, I'm not... Because I think we carry so much shame.
We do, because you would never go to the sidelines of a sports game or show up at a Cub Scout meeting and see parents acting that way.
No.
Ever.
Nope.
They always seem all put together and they always seem like the nice little family.
Well,
and then
on
there's
their social media, too.
Yes. And then there's you feeling all messed up. And when in reality, feeling all messed up or like you're not perfect or like you really screwed up today is actually the norm. But because we're not showing that on the outside, we feel like it's just us.
Well, that's why we're talking about this today.
Yes,
because
it's not just you.
Anybody,
we're right there with
yeah,
you.
exactly. Anybody who listens to this, and if this elates you at all because you are not alone, then we did our job today, right? Because you're not alone. We're all struggling, and it's hard. I think the more we can be open and honest about our struggles and not feel so isolated in them is super empowering. I mean, we just want...
It's not just empowering, it's connecting. It makes me feel more connected to others. And, like, I don't walk out on the street and feel different because I screamed at my kids that morning, but I see all the other moms looking all perfect, dressed all perfect, acting all nice to their kids and thinking that there's something wrong with me. It's like, no, half of them this morning probably lost it on their children. Yeah. And they probably think I look put together right now. And they're thinking the same exact thing.
Exactly.
And so now I'm not so alone and I'm not so different than them. And I can walk up to them and be their friend.
So disillusioned that everybody else has it together but me.
Yeah, well, yes, and that's the biggest lie you could ever tell.
It is.
Because nobody has it all together.
No.
I used to think, growing up, that my mom, like, knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
And then I became a mom, and I got older than she was. I'm an older mom than she was. And I'm like, wow, she was younger than me and had these two little children. I'm like, she had no clue what the freaking heck she was doing.
Yeah.
And the day that hit me, that I realized that all of these parents and all of my friends' parents, when I was a child, I'd go over to their house and I thought just because they were adults that they knew what they were doing. And then I became one and I said, none of these people knew what the heck they were doing. No. It was really freeing. And it actually put me in a position where I started to feel more control and confidence in what I was doing as an adult and as a parent. It actually created that foundation for me to build up from.
Yeah. That perspective is actually what helped me forgive my mom and my dad. More so my mom, because my dad is a major narcissist. But just that fact alone, like, she did her best. She came from shit, you know?
She was in shit.
Yeah. And so I was able to have compassion on her for that and give her forgiveness and find some peace that my mom did what she knew best. And I don't need to take that personally anymore as an adult. Yeah, because it's hard. It's so hard.
It is. Well, we thank you for being here with us again today.
Yeah, we love you all. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and we will talk to you soon.